If you've ever tried to start your own healing journey, you probably realise very quickly how confusing it can actually be. Not just because of what you have to do or how to go about things, but actually what it all means. My name's Kim, and this is Soothe Soul, and we're here to support you through that. We're just trying to make sense of things in real life. When I look back now, this didn't start as a healing journey for me. I was going through a phase where I just didn't know who I was anymore. I just felt lost. I was just looking for something, and I wasn't quite sure what that was. And I felt I was being drawn to things which I had never been drawn to in the past. And as I started to investigate, I actually started getting quite nervous about a few things because it seemed to be getting drawn to something that was actually a belief or even maybe a religion to some extent. And that frightened me because I am actually an atheist. So it's sort of like it made me very nervous. And I think it sort of like it prevented me from moving on for quite some time. I really needed to get my head sorted out on what this was all about. A friend of mine actually suggested that I go to a spiritual church just to try and get some perspective on things. And actually, rather than help, it actually hindered. Because when I actually went there and I sat in the back trying to keep my head down, and it made me very nervous because there was a lot of worship going on. There was a lot of hymn singing. And that is something which I had avoided all my life because it just makes me feel uncomfortable. So I found it sort of like very, very confusing. But over time, I actually realised that what I was looking for wasn't a belief system. I was just actually looking for a way to see myself differently, to become more aware of the person I was or the person I should have been before life took over. So when I actually finally did start what I call my healing journey, although things were a lot clearer in my head with regards to what it was all about, I still found it very confusing on how to go about it and what I had to do. There was so much conflicting information on social media and on, various different channels. And a lot of it actually contradicted itself. There was also a lot of information out there where it overpromised, things like, you say these affirmations 5 times before you go to sleep every night, and within 5 days you'll be a totally new person. Now, I know that is probably an exaggeration, but I do think you get the idea where I'm coming from with this. It's very difficult to trust what you're hearing and what you're listening to, and it makes the healing journey so much more difficult. Don't get me wrong, there is a lot of positive advice out there, advice about releasing and forgiving. You can't move on in life if you don't forgive and you don't release what has gone on in the past. But I think where you're not getting the support is actually the understanding of how long that actually takes. It's very easy to give that advice, but when you're actually trying to follow it, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a very, very difficult process. Whatever path you take and however you approach your healing journey, it's never going to be quick. Never. Because healing isn't something that's going to happen quickly. It's not an overnight fix. It takes time. And in many cases, years, many years. And it isn't necessarily about getting to the end, if any of us ever do. It's about the changes along the way. It's about each day just getting a little bit lighter. It's about each morning you getting up and just feeling a little bit happier. And eventually, as time goes by, you actually start to enjoy life again. So one thing I want to be clear about is what Soothe the Soul is offering is not a script. It's not a step-by-step path. It's not something you can follow. Everybody is in a different part of the healing journey. Everybody has different preferences. Everybody processes things very, very differently. They all have different schedules, different routines in everyday life. So one way does not always suit everyone. What works for one person may not work for another. And just as an example to that, I tried meditation. I tried it so many times. There's so much out there about how meditation supports you and how it's great, and you need to meditate to be able to heal, to be able to look into the shadow, and I really tried, and I just can't do it. I just fidget. I get itchy. Or if I'm trying when I'm lying down, I fall asleep. I just can't. No, sorry. It's just, for me, it's just impossible. But what I did find, I've actually got a golden retriever, and we love taking long walks, whether that be in the countryside or in the woods or on the beach. And those long walks actually give me exactly the same benefit as what meditation does for other people. It gives me time to relax. I can actually walk and just think and absorb what's going on in my mind and quieten it. And I actually come back from one of those walks in a very relaxed state, and I think that's my meditation. So what I'm trying to say is that you will find something that works for you. You will find something. It's not about trying things harder. It's about trying something different. So what Soothe is actually offering is a collection of different ways that will help you understand yourself more. So over the coming months, we'll be offering a mixture of different things. We will be having conversations with wellness coaches as well as normal people on their own healing journey. We'll be doing book reviews on self-help books just to try and simplify things so people understand what is actually on offer in those books before going out and purchasing them. We will also be doing some product reviews, and all this is going to be supported with our website, soothesoul.co.uk. We will be offering free downloads on various rituals. So there'll be meditation, there'll be crystal healing, journaling, all available as downloads. We'll also be having a bit of fun. I'll be putting together some self-care hampers, which I'll be giving away free. But there'll be more information of that in future videos. So stay tuned. So if all this resonates, then please hit subscribe and join me on our healing journey.